Hello everybody, welcome back to Mechabellum. I have a crazy game for you guys. This is a very different game than we're used to seeing on this channel. I'm going with the Cost Control Specialist with Arclight and Sledgehammer, ton of HP, fairly good units. I thought it would be worthwhile. I think my opponent goes with the Giant Specialist here. I actually was just, I was just recording a video. Just editing a video, hopped out to play a quick game and then start on the next one. And I was like, holy crap, what an amazing game. I have to make a video about this. So he's going to set up for just an insanely powerful headbutt. And this entire game is me just trying to survive what is just an exceedingly difficult headbutt to deal with. So he's leaving space here for his giants. Something that I was a little nervous about, being that he was a giant specialist. I end up quickly grabbing the attack upgrade just because I figured I don't really have very many units that can punch through these arc lights, and I want to make sure that I'm one-shotting these Phoenix with my snipers. So I get that done. I don't have any chaff, so I realize I'm probably going to lose the first couple of rounds, but I have a ton of HP to deal with that, so I'm pretty okay with it. Also, he doesn't deploy any units over here on the left-hand flank, so a little bit of a problem in that if I'd had a single unit of crawlers, I probably would have taken the tower by now. It wouldn't have helped me as I don't have any snipers left over, but it is what it is. I'm just going to speed through these first couple of rounds a bit, just because it's me basically doing damage control. I do end up grabbing the Intelligent Marksman here, just because I figured, you know what, I am probably going to be dealing with a lot of single entities, and I need a way to deal with this chaff. Once again, I just grab a couple of Mustang. They do suffer from the arc lights, but if I can get through those arc lights, I should be in a good position. I also recycle one of my tanks to play out another sniper over on this side, just because I figured it would be worthwhile. I need to be able to take out these arc lights. Still only has one unit of crawlers here. I left the arc lights there on purpose, just because I figured that would be my best bet at dealing with something like a unit of crawlers. Mustangs come in. They do a very good job clearing away a lot of these crawlers for me. Allow my snipers hopefully to get online and shoot at the right stuff, but instead these crawlers still make a breakthrough. It is what it is, and I end up losing my tower to that. This little guy has done a great job. He ate up all those crawlers. Good enough, you know. It's going to take me at least 3 rounds to deal with the headbutt and kind of stop hemorrhaging HP. That's why I'm glad I started with a specialist with a lot of HP. Having extra HP does really help with this. I end up going with the underground threat. He grabs intensive training there. I've noticed that his backline is very open, and here comes the coup de grace early war factory, and it's only costing him 50 per turn. Now that does mean that I will start having a somewhat serious economic advantage. I'll have 150 more credits to deal with per turn, and when something like this happens, it's really important to utilize that cash. So I'm going to try and pick up every skill that I can to try and offset the fact that this thing is just insane. I figured his first giant was probably coming up at this point. I didn't think it would be a war factory. I thought it would be a fortress, but here come my crawlers. They're going to really help me out in this round, but this is looking pretty dire. I was like, holy crap, early war factory. That's insanity. My guys march forward, have absolutely no problem decimating him. My units are considerably better off, but look at this thing. Just literally kill all of my crap. I'm not going to bore you by watching it just slowly eat all of my stuff, but this thing is insane. It almost earns itself a level because it literally wipes like 99% of my army by itself. The 4 guns are really, really powerful on the War Factory, able to shoot separately. Just madness. Take a huge hit there, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, this is a big issue. I do end up grabbing the amp core here. I'm surprised that my opponent didn't grab the amp core and put it on an arc light, just so that my units would take a little bit longer to kill through it, but instead he goes with the speed specialist. Not a bad idea. I grab a couple of stormcallers here and just start bombarding the heck out of this thing, because I figured I held it in place for a fairly long time, And I'm going to try and get rid of some of this chaff early on this left flank. That way my guys can come in. I also do a cheeky little thing of my own. If he's not going to protect this tower, then I'm going to decimate it. Interestingly enough, he did go with the sniper. At this point, I would have leaned into the Phoenix just because you already have some Phoenix, so why not utilize them? It just makes the upgrade path a little bit easier. So once again, we just plow through his army, literally no resistance, just because we are doing so well dealing with these things. I did end up recycling my Arclight. That way I could play this out. I figured if I kill this thing, it didn't really matter. Even if I lost this flank and I lost those Stormcallers, I didn't really care. I just wanted to kill this. That way I wouldn't have to worry about taking 600 damage. That's a lot of damage from one unit, and I don't even kill it. Very, very painful for me. Dropping a huge amount of HP. I end up going with the Ion. I think he gets the advanced fire control. No, he skips. Once again, I have a significant economic advantage over him right now, so I need to leverage that with cards. If I can get rid of this Arclight quickly, I might as well. He does end up grabbing the missile interceptor fairly early here. I play another Mustang over on this left flank just to help deal with any crawlers, or in this case, upgrading these guys to help deal with any crawlers. I was very aware that my flanks were also open, and if I lost devastatingly at this point, I could very easily die. So I was pretty nervous about that. That's why I played out this missile there. I was like, oh my god, I could lose at any moment here. The laser comes down, does a great job, clears away a unit of Phoenix, and does significant damage to the Arclight, kills a sniper. Unfortunately, I think these guys move out of the way, but it is what it is. My Mustang are doing fairly well, just kind of chewing through things. And once again, it's going to come down to this War Factory. I just don't have a very good answer to it, especially with this missile interceptor in the way. My one melting point obviously was not enough to stand up to it at this point, level 2. I need a front line to kind of help buffer and absorb some shots early. That way it can get online and deal the damage. But I'm like, oh my god, this thing's killed me 2 times in a row now. I'm starting to build a plan. I'm thinking about a way to deal with this thing. My plan currently is grab another melting point and give it a shield. In this case, probably a unit of Fang or Crawlers, just to sit there and get shot. I think I go, yeah, Acid. Acid was definitely the play here for me because I could play it on my own line. This thing has been pushing through really well, so I figured it would probably sit within the Acid, and that would give me a lot of time to deal with it. I have this Amp Core back because I recycled my melting point, or sorry, my Stormcallers and put it onto a melting point. I'll do that in a moment, as well as just cross the board upgrading my Mustang just so that I can have units that can deal with these crawlers. I'm very nervous that these crawlers could get out of hand. Let's say that all of a sudden they start replicating or they get the mechanical rage. They could very quickly overwhelm my lines even at level 1 or level 2. So I want to make sure that I stay on top of my chaff clear. The whole game I was debating about giving my guys explosive ammo, but I was just so nervous of this thing that I was like, maybe not, you know. I really can't lose another round. In fact, he's beat me every single round of this game, and I'm very cognizant of that. Off come my Acid. Acid is going to do a great job for me. Look how much health it's ticking off of that guy. Definitely worthwhile. He did play some crawlers here in the back line. My crawlers were able to deal with it, as well as my level 2 Mustang. Really did a great job there. Melting Point needs to get online. It's dealing with the Phoenix right now, which is okay, but there it is. It's online. It's going to crack down on that War Factory. Exactly what I needed. And killing a War Factory is worth so much XP. This is where the comeback begins. I really can't lose a round at this point, so I need to start hurting him. And that Acid was clutch. Like, without it, I don't think I would have been in the position that I'm in. I grabbed the Rhino just because, again, I can spend money. I have significantly more cash than him. I've got my Underground Threat. I've got my Rhino. I can put some Wasps or something in these backlines. He's going to deploy a Rhino on this flank, so I was like, I again, got to keep up with these upgrades. You know, I never know what's going to be coming for me. So having these tanks be able to one-shot those things, having some more crawlers, just so that way I can keep his units fighting over and over and over again on units that I don't care about. I summon out some more crawlers. I went with crawlers here instead of heavier units just because the acid was going to be a problem for me as well. Having all of these light units is actually kind of nice. So wasps on this flank as well. I noticed that he doesn't have any anti-air, so just being able to have constant persistent damage could be good. Actually, I moved these guys over because I've been doing a good job at taking care of these Phoenix. And if I take care of the Phoenix, this guy can't shoot up. So eventually, these wasps could kill him. It would take a literal million years, but it's going to be madness over here on this left flank. Really great play by my opponent to try and pull this area apart. The missile's already used up. I couldn't really think about this flank too much. I probably should have... well, I give everybody range, and then I think I deploy a shield. Yeah. I probably should have been a little bit more worried about this flank, but luckily these Mustang are just going to keep saving my bacon. Huge attack across the left and right. Once again, this acid is working wonders. My crawlers are just phenomenal. They're getting in there with this guy. He's going to slow everyone down in that acid, and importantly, slow down this huge crawler threat. Without that Rhino, I really would have been in a tough spot, but really great. My little guys are still spawning out crawlers, exactly what I need just to keep those units in place. Of course, next turn the acid is gone, and I'm really aware of that. Next turn is probably the last turn in the game. Just an absolute cutthroat knife fight so far. I could go with the Incendiary, I could go with Vulcan. Instead, I grabbed the skill because I have a lot of skills, but I saw that my Ion was coming off. And the Ion works really well because it takes care of tanks. And I need to get rid of those tanks. So just right across the top, I'm going to try and murderize all of his stuff. I'm now very aware of this coming off the flank. So I'm like, well, got to deal with that, as well as this insanely scary threat of now a level 3 war factory. So I deploy some wasps here just to give me, again, a little bit more coverage. They should be able to deal some damage to that. And importantly, they can't get hurt. So even if I lose this entire flank, as long as I kill the war factory and these phoenixes, I'm totally fine. So just having this backup plan of a flyer unit in the background is great. I'm also worried he might just deploy a war factory on this flank. So I place a melting point on this flank just to be extra safe. Not only that, it will probably get a couple of spawns. I figure this is the last round of the game. This shield didn't die last turn, so I might as well play another one. Shield everything up. It won't survive more than like a shot or two from the war factory, but it's worth having just to be safe. Luckily, these guys are going to fight each other, which gives my Mustang enough time to kill them all off pretty quickly. Madness on the left, extremely dangerous on the right, but luckily this Ion does a great job at clearing away a lot of the tanks that were spawning out of this thing. My melting point gets absolutely raffled, and because of it, I lose the tower. And I'm like, oh my god, both my melting points are on this thing. Like, please just kill it. As soon as that tower effect drops off, I know I'm going to melt right through it, and I do. And luckily, this thing spawns out another thing of crawlers for me. I didn't really need them, but I was like, gee lo-wee, that was terrifying. This thing's already leveled up again. Really great game, really terrifying, but I just wanted your guys' thoughts on that thing. I know it kind of playcasted it. Let's take a look at the battlefield here for our after-action report. These were pretty well placed. They delayed a lot of my units for a while. These crawlers, honestly, kind of MVP. They absorbed so much initial damage and delayed everybody because they just stood in place for a second. So these were kind of the countermand to these guys. These guys held 2, 3, 4 units, 5 units, 6 units in place. These guys also held 6 or so units in place. So really happy with that. Great idea by my opponent for this massive flank. I probably, if I was really going to lean into the wasps, I probably should have got this ground specialization. At least then they would have been killing these crawlers in one shot. So definitely would have been worthwhile to do that. I just decided not to do it. It is what it is. I was really just using them as a get out of jail free card. Oh no, I've lost everything, but at least I killed the War Factory and these Phoenix, so I can just clean up the rest. You know, whatever, I'll win by 50 points, but it will give me more time to reset. And that's the power of flying units. If your opponent really doesn't have any flying units, you can do that. Not only this, I could reposition these guys. If the opponent looked like he was going to leave this open again, I could put 2 units of wasps on this flank and just fly them in really quickly, take out that tower, and that might buy me the time that I need. But really, it was those skill cards that made a big difference for me, just being able to deploy random crap all the time to keep this damage up and keep this War Factory at bay, killing off all of the units that were supporting it, or using the acid to directly attack the War Factory. If my opponent had chosen to, he grabbed the shield specialist. If he grabbed a couple of shields, especially when I was using things like the acid, or if I'd gone with smoke, that would have really saved him a lot. But he was kind of low on cash because he had the War Factory, and of course I was a cost control specialist, so he was already working as if I was a top supply specialist. So good game. Really, really enjoyed it. I got my blood pressure up a little bit. If you guys have any great viewer games or have any games that you'd like to suggest me play, feel free to do so. I look forward to playing them. Talk to you guys soon.